Welcome, beautiful soul. I truly believe our meeting today is divine timing. Your presence here is no accident, no random click. The universe has guided you to this message because your heart is ready to receive this truth. Today, we're going to explore something profound that may explain the emptiness you've been feeling, the connection that seems just beyond your reach. Your soulmate, that person who carries a piece of your soul, is keeping their distance because they're afraid of causing you pain. Take a moment now and type "I understand" in the comments to acknowledge this truth that's resonating with you. You see, the universe operates in ways that often seem mysterious to us. The connections between souls are intricate, powerful, and sometimes complicated by our human experiences. Your soulmate feels your energy, your essence, your light, even from a distance. They're drawn to you like the moon pulls at the tides, a constant, unwavering force. But something holds them back. Their own fear of bringing darkness into your light. This isn't because they don't care. It's because they care too deeply. When a soul recognizes its counterpart, it experiences both extreme joy and terrible vulnerability. Your soulmate sees you clearly, perhaps more clearly than you see yourself. They recognize your gentle heart, your capacity for love, your willingness to give everything to those you care about. And in that recognition comes fear. Fear that they aren't worthy, fear that their own wounds might transfer to you, fear that loving you means risking hurting you. Take a deep breath and feel the truth of these words. If this message speaks to your spirit, type "I feel this" in the comments. Many souls who find themselves in this position have experienced trauma, disappointment, or heartbreak in their past. They carry these wounds like armor, believing they're protecting both themselves and others by maintaining distance. Your soulmate may have learned through painful experience that getting close to someone means eventually causing pain, whether intentionally or not. They may have watched their parents' relationship dissolve into hurt. They may have caused pain in previous relationships and vowed never to do so again. They may simply feel that their own internal struggles would be a burden to you. The irony, of course, is that in trying to protect you from pain, they're causing a different kind of hurt. The ache of separation, the longing for connection, the feeling that something essential is missing from your life. You feel this absence like a physical sensation sometimes, don't you? A hollowness in your chest that no amount of distraction can fill. A recognition when you see certain places, hear certain songs, or even smell certain scents, as if your soul is remembering something your mind cannot quite grasp. Type "I recognize this" if you felt this inexplicable longing. What your soulmate doesn't fully understand is that you are stronger than they realize. Your soul chose this journey, these lessons, this connection. You are not fragile or easily broken. You have weathered storms before and emerged with greater wisdom and resilience. The divine light within you cannot be extinguished by another person's darkness. In fact, your light has the power to illuminate the shadows they fear showing you. But they cannot see this yet. They only see their potential to harm, not your capacity to heal. Remember that fear is often the opposite of love, not hate, but fear. Where love expands, connects, and creates, fear contracts, separates, and destroys. Your soulmate is caught in fear's grip right now, believing the lie that isolation is safer than vulnerability. They may even have convinced themselves that they're doing the right thing, the noble thing, by staying away. Their intentions come from a place of caring, even if their actions cause pain. Consider for a moment how many times in your own life you've held back from connection out of fear. Perhaps you've worried about being too much, too emotional, too intense, too needy. Or perhaps you've worried about being not enough, not successful enough, not attractive enough, not healed enough. We all carry these fears in some form. Your soulmate's fear is simply manifesting as distance rather than as the anxious attachment you might experience. Type I release fear to begin letting go of the fear patterns in your own heart. The truth that your soulmate hasn't yet embraced is that perfect love casts out fear. Real connection doesn't require perfection. It requires authenticity. Real love doesn't demand flawlessness. It creates space for growth. The very things your soulmate fears showing you, their wounds, their struggles, their darkness, are precisely what would deepen your connection if shared in vulnerability and trust. The parts of themselves they hide are often the parts that would resonate most deeply with your own hidden struggles. I want you to understand something important. This situation isn't about you not being enough. It's not about you being unworthy of love or connection. It's about your soulmate's journey with their own shadows, their own healing process that must unfold in its own time. You cannot rush another soul's evolution, no matter how much you might wish to. Each of us must walk our path at our own pace, learning the lessons we're here to learn when we're ready to receive them. So what does this mean for you right now? It means holding space, both for yourself and for them. It means continuing your own healing journey without putting your life on hold. It means trusting that divine timing is at work, even when the waiting feels unbearable. Type I trust in the comments if you're willing to surrender to this divine timing, knowing that what's meant for you cannot miss you. Your soulmate's fear of hurting you often stems from their own unhealed wounds. Perhaps they grew up in an environment where love and pain were intertwined. Perhaps they witnessed relationships that should have been nurturing become sources of trauma instead. Perhaps they themselves have caused pain in past relationships and now carry guilt that feels too heavy to bear. Their distance is not a reflection of your worthiness. It's a reflection of their own internal struggle between longing for connection and fearing its consequences. The energy between soulmates is unlike any other connection. It's magnetic, electric, undeniable. Even when physical distance separates you, the energetic cord remains intact. This is why you feel them sometimes, in dreams, in quiet moments, in that inexplicable sense that you're not alone, even when no one else is present. Your souls communicate beyond the limitations of physical proximity or verbal exchange. They feel this too, though they may try to deny it, to rationalize it away, to convince themselves it's merely imagination or wishful thinking. When your soulmate stays away out of fear of hurting you, they're often experiencing their own form of suffering. The pull toward you doesn't disappear simply because they've decided to resist it. In fact, resistance often intensifies the longing. They think about you, they wonder about your life. They may even check your social media or ask mutual friends about you. They feel the absence of your presence as acutely as you feel theirs, perhaps even more so because they've chosen this separation rather than having it thrust upon them. Type I acknowledge if you can recognize that their distance doesn't mean absence of feeling. There's something powerful about understanding the true nature of this dynamic. When you realize that fear, not indifference, keeps your soulmate, at a distance you can begin to hold this situation with greater compassion. Compassion doesn't mean accepting less than you deserve or waiting indefinitely for someone who may never be ready. It simply means seeing the situation through eyes of love rather than hurt or rejection. It means recognizing the wounded child within your soulmate who learned that love isn't safe, that vulnerability leads to pain, that showing one's true self results in abandonment. Your own healing is crucial during this time of separation. The more you heal your wounds, the more you cultivate self-love and inner peace. The more you radiate an energy that can help your soulmate find their way through their fears. This isn't about changing yourself to become acceptable to them. It's about becoming so fully yourself, so completely aligned with your authentic truth, that your very existence becomes an invitation to wholeness. Your light can illuminate the path through darkness, but they must choose to walk it. Many souls in your position make the mistake of trying to prove their worthiness, to convince their soulmate that they won't be hurt. But this approach often backfires because it places responsibility on you for their healing journey. You cannot heal their wounds, you cannot remove their fears, you cannot convince them of their worthiness. These are inner journeys each soul must undertake for themselves. Your role is not to rescue, but to remain steadfast in your own truth, creating a safe harbor they can return to when they're ready. Type, "I stand in my truth," to affirm your commitment to your own authentic path. Consider this time of separation as preparation, a divine incubation period where both you and your soulmate are developing the qualities necessary for your eventual union. The universe rarely brings soulmates together before they're ready for the intensity of that connection. What seems like cruel delay is often perfect timing, allowing each of you to become the person capable of sustaining the profound bond you're meant to share. Every experience you have now, every lesson you learn, every challenge you overcome is preparing you for this connection. Your soulmate's fear of hurting you may manifest in various ways. Perhaps they send mixed signals, reaching out and then pulling away, showing interest and then becoming distant. Perhaps they create practical obstacles to connection. Choosing jobs that require travel, maintaining busy schedules that leave little time for relationship, focusing intensely on goals that seem to preclude partnership. Perhaps they enter relationships with people who are obviously wrong for them, unconsciously, ensuring these connections will fail before real vulnerability is required. Or perhaps they simply ghost, disappearing without explanation, because facing you feels more painful than the emptiness of absence. These behaviors can feel confusing, hurtful, even manipulative from your perspective. But understanding the fear beneath them can help you respond with wisdom rather than reactivity. This doesn't mean excusing behavior that causes you pain. It means seeing beyond the behavior to the wounded soul attempting to protect both of you in the only way they currently know how. Type, "I see beyond," to acknowledge your willingness to look deeper than surface behaviors. The journey of soulmates isn't always a straight path to union. Sometimes it involves false starts, detours, periods of separation, and challenging lessons. Some soulmate connections fulfill their purpose through brief but transformative encounters rather than lifelong partnership. Others require years of individual growth before sustainable union becomes possible. The key is remaining open to the wisdom each stage of the journey offers, rather than fixating on a particular outcome or timeline. Your connection exists for the evolution of both souls, whatever form that may take. How can you tell if someone truly is your soulmate who's staying away out of fear versus simply someone who isn't meant for you? Pay attention to the quality of energy between you. Authentic soulmate connections contain a recognition that transcends ordinary attraction or compatibility. There's a sense of familiarity despite newness, of coming home rather than entering unknown territory. The connection feels significant, meaningful, purposeful beyond personal desire. And importantly, when you're together, even briefly, there's a sense of expansion rather than contraction, of becoming more fully yourself rather than less. Another sign lies in the consistency of their presence in your consciousness. Random connections fade with time and distance. Soulmate connections persist regardless of physical proximity or communication. They appear in dreams, in synchronicities, in sudden thoughts that seem to come from nowhere. The energetic bond remains intact even when external circumstances suggest disconnection. You think of them not with the grasping energy of attachment, but with the open-handed recognition of truth. Type, I recognize truth if you've experienced this persistent connection despite outer circumstances. Your soulmate's fear of hurting you often connects to specific wounds from their past. Perhaps they were raised by parents who used love as a weapon, who withdrew affection as punishment, who taught them that love means control or possession. Perhaps they were betrayed by someone they trusted completely, leading them to believe that all intimacy eventually leads to betrayal. Perhaps they've been told they're too intense, too emotional, too demanding, leading them to believe their love itself is somehow harmful or excessive. Or perhaps they've hurt others before and now carry the heavy burden of believing they're inherently damaging to those they care about. Understanding these wounds doesn't obligate you to heal them. That responsibility belongs to your soulmate alone. But this understanding can help you respond with compassion rather than taking their distance personally. Their fear isn't about your lovability. It's about their own relationship with vulnerability, intimacy, and trust. The question becomes not, how can I make them see I won't be hurt, but how can I honor both their journey and my own while this fear is present? One of the most powerful things you can do during this time of separation is to develop a deep, nurturing relationship with yourself. Many souls become so focused on the absent soulmate that they neglect their own growth, their own joy, their own purpose. But the most magnetic force to a fearful soulmate isn't neediness or pursuit. It's witnessing you thrive, witnessing you embrace life fully even in their absence. This demonstrates that you're not waiting to be completed by them, that you're already whole, already worthy, already living a meaningful existence. Type I am whole to affirm this truth about yourself. Consider how you relate to your own fears during this time. Do you push them away, deny them, pretend they don't exist? Or do you meet them with curiosity, compassion, and courage? Your relationship with your own fear creates a template, an energetic pattern that ripples outward and affects how others, including your soulmate, relate to their fears. As you learn to embrace your shadows rather than run from them, you create an energetic permission slip for others to do the same. This doesn't mean wallowing in fear or giving it undue power. It means acknowledging its presence while choosing love anyway. The spiritual growth available to you in this situation is immense. Being separated from a soulmate due to their fear offers you the opportunity to practice unconditional love, love without guarantees, love without reciprocation, love without attachment to outcome. This doesn't mean accepting crumbs or settling for less than you deserve in relationship. It means holding the truth of your connection in your heart while releasing expectations about how or when that connection might manifest externally. It means loving them enough to respect their journey, even when that journey takes them away from you temporarily. Many spiritual traditions speak of surrender, not as giving up, but as releasing rigid control and trusting in divine timing. This situation invites surrender in its deepest form. Can you trust that what's meant for you will not miss you? Can you release the need to force, manipulate, or rush this connection? Can you allow your soulmate the space to confront their fears in their own time, knowing that genuine connection can only come from freedom, never from pressure or obligation? Type, "I surrender," if you're willing to release control and trust divine timing in this situation. Your soulmate's fear of hurting you speaks to their sensitivity, their conscience, their moral awareness. In a world where many people hurt others, without concern or remorse, their fear of causing pain indicates a level of empathy and ethical consideration that's actually a positive quality, even though it currently manifests as distance. They care enough about your well-being to put it above their own desire for connection. This caring, once integrated with courage rather than fear, forms the foundation for profound partnership. Their current distance, painful as it is may be, preparing them to show up fully when the time is right. During this time of waiting, pay attention to the lessons being presented to you. Every experience contains wisdom if you're willing to look for it. Perhaps you're learning patience, developing faith in what you cannot see, discovering your capacity to love without guarantees. Perhaps you're being called to release old patterns of abandonment, rejection, or unworthiness that this situation triggers. Perhaps you're developing resilience, learning to find joy even in uncertainty, cultivating trust in divine timing. These lessons aren't distractions from your soulmate connection. They're essential preparation for it. Type, "I receive lessons," to open yourself to the wisdom this experience offers. Your soulmate's journey toward healing their fear follows its own timeline. Some souls require multiple experiences of loss before they're willing to risk vulnerability. Others need to reach a particular level of self-acceptance before they can accept love from another. Still, others must complete certain karmic patterns or fulfill specific agreements before they're free to enter the connection they truly desire. You cannot rush this process, but you can hold space for it with patience and understanding, knowing that each soul's evolution unfolds perfectly according to its own divine plan. What might help your soulmate move through their fear of hurting you? First and foremost, their own inner healing work. Processing past traumas, developing self-forgiveness, learning to separate past relationships from present possibilities. This work cannot be done for them or rushed by you, but you can create conditions that support their healing by maintaining healthy boundaries, demonstrating emotional stability, and showing through your actions that love doesn't have to be chaotic or harmful. Your consistent presence, without pressure or expectation, creates a safe container for their fear to gradually dissolve. Remember that fear thrives in isolation and diminishes in connection. Your soulmate's tendency may be to withdraw when fear arises, to process alone, to protect you and themselves through distance. But true healing happens in relationship, not necessarily romantic relationship, but in the context of safe, supportive connection with others. Encourage them, when appropriate, to seek support, whether through therapy, spiritual community, trusted friends, or family. The more they experience being accepted with their fears and wounds, the more capable they become of bringing these vulnerable parts into your connection. Some souls in your position become caught in a pattern of chasing, pursuing, trying to convince the fearful soulmate that connection is safe. But pursuit often intensifies fear, creating pressure that confirms their belief that relationships are dangerous or demanding. The most powerful approach is often the counterintuitive one, giving them space while remaining steadfast in your own worth. This isn't about playing games or being strategically unavailable. It's about respecting their process while honoring your own value. Type "I honor worth" to affirm your commitment to maintaining your dignity in this situation. Consider whether you might have your own fears about this connection, fears that mirror or complement your soulmate's concerns. Perhaps you fear being too much or not enough. Perhaps you worry about being abandoned once you've fully opened your heart. Perhaps you've experienced betrayal or disappointment that makes trusting difficult. These fears don't negate the soulmate connection, but they do require acknowledgement and healing. The more conscious you become of your own fears, the less power they hold over your choices and behaviors. Divine timing operates according to soul readiness, not human desire. Both you and your soulmate must reach certain levels of healing, awareness, and growth before union becomes sustainable. What feels like delay is often protection, preventing connection before the foundations are strong enough to support it. If you were to come together before this inner work was complete, the intensity of your connection might actually reinforce old wounds rather than facilitate healing. Trust that the timing of your union, whenever it occurs, will be perfectly aligned with both souls' highest good. One of the greatest gifts you can offer a fearful soulmate is the absence of pressure. Pressure confirms their fear that relationships are demanding, that they'll inevitably disappoint you, that they must perform or achieve certain states to be worthy of connection. Freedom, the clear message that you desire them but don't need them to complete you, creates space for authentic choice rather than fear-based reaction. This freedom isn't about detachment or indifference, but about loving them enough to honor their journey, even when that journey temporarily leads away from you. Type "I offer freedom" to affirm this gift you're willing to extend. The spiritual purpose of this separation period often involves learning to distinguish between attachment and love. Attachment says, "I need you to be a certain way for me to feel secure." Love says, "I see and accept you exactly as you are, while also honoring my own needs and boundaries." Attachment creates conditions and expectations. Love offers space for authentic unfolding. Your soulmate's fear of hurting you presents the perfect opportunity to examine whether your longing stems from genuine love or from attachment patterns seeking fulfillment. The more you release attachment while maintaining love, the more inviting your energy becomes. Consider what messages you're sending energetically during this time of separation. Energy communicates more powerfully than words, transcending physical distance and conscious awareness. When you focus on lack, on absence, on the pain of separation, this energy reaches your soulmate and often intensifies their fear, confirming their belief that they cause suffering simply by being connected to you. When you focus instead on gratitude for the connection, on faith in divine timing, on joy despite uncertainty, this energy creates an invitation rather than pressure. Type "I choose joy" to shift your energetic broadcast in this moment. Your soulmate's fear of hurting you may be connected to specific behaviors or patterns they haven't yet mastered. Perhaps they struggle with emotional regulation, with communication, during conflict, with balancing independence and intimacy. Perhaps they've hurt partners in the past through infidelity, emotional unavailability, or inability to commit. These patterns don't define them, but they do require conscious awareness and dedicated effort to transform. Their distance may indicate integrity, recognition that they need to do this inner work before bringing these patterns into relationship with you. Many spiritual traditions teach that our primary relationship is with the divine, with our own soul, with the universal consciousness that permeates all existence. Human relationships, even soulmate connections, are reflections and expressions of this primary relationship. During this time of external separation, you have the opportunity to deepen your connection with the divine within and around you. This connection provides the security, the fulfillment, the unconditional love that no human relationship, however profound, can consistently offer. The more you cultivate this vertical connection, the more grace you bring to all horizontal connections. There's a profound difference between waiting and preparing. Waiting implies passivity, putting your life on hold until someone else takes action or makes a decision. Preparing implies active engagement with your own growth, your own healing, your own purpose. This time of separation isn't meant for waiting, it's meant for preparing. Every step you take toward wholeness, toward authentic self-expression, toward fulfilling your unique purpose prepares you for the connection you desire. And these steps are valuable regardless of when or how your soulmate relationship manifests. Type "I am preparing" to affirm your active engagement with this process. Your soulmate's fear of hurting you may be teaching them essential lessons about the nature of love itself. Perhaps they're learning that true protection doesn't come through distance but through presence, showing up fully despite the risk of causing pain. Perhaps they're discovering that their capacity to hurt you is matched by their capacity to heal, to nurture, to uplift. Perhaps they're recognizing that vulnerability, not perfection, creates the conditions for genuine connection. These lessons can't be rushed or taught. They must be experienced, integrated, embodied through their own inner work and external relationships. How can you maintain hope without becoming attached to specific outcomes? By focusing on the growth this situation offers rather than on the absence of your desired relationship. By trusting that whatever outcome serves your highest evolution will manifest in divine timing. By finding meaning in the journey itself, rather than postponing fulfillment until some future point of union. By recognizing that the love you feel is valuable and transformative, regardless of external circumstances. This balanced approach keeps your heart open without creating the desperate energy of need that often pushes fearful soulmates further away. Type "I trust the process" to affirm your commitment to this balanced perspective. Consider that your soulmate's fear of hurting you might be mirroring your own fear of being hurt. The external situation often reflects internal realities we haven't fully acknowledged. Do you truly believe you deserve a love that won't harm you? Do you trust your capacity to maintain healthy boundaries if harm occurs? Do you have faith in your resilience, your ability to recover if this connection doesn't manifest as you hope? The more you heal these inner doubts, the more your energy shifts from fear to faith, creating an invitation rather than a demand for your soulmate's presence. The absence of your soulmate creates space for other meaningful connections to develop and flourish. These connections aren't replacements or distractions. They're essential parts of your soul's journey, relationships that offer specific lessons, gifts, and experiences your soulmate connection isn't designed to provide. During this time of waiting, cultivate these other relationships with presence and gratitude. Allow yourself to receive the love available to you now, rather than focusing exclusively on what remains beyond reach. This receptivity to present blessings actually prepares you for the greater connection you desire. Your soulmate's fear of hurting you speaks to the profound impact you have on each other. Ordinary connections don't generate this level of concern, this awareness of potential harm. The very intensity of their fear indicates the depth of the connection, the power you hold in each other's lives. This power, the ability to cause both tremendous joy and tremendous pain, is precisely what makes soulmate connections both precious and challenging. Their current distance may simply reflect their process of coming to terms with this power, learning to wield it with wisdom and care rather than fear. Type, I acknowledge power to recognize the profound impact you have on each other. The healing of your soulmate's fear requires both divine grace and human effort. No amount of personal development work automatically removes deeply ingrained fear patterns. At some point, grace must enter, that mysterious force that transforms limitation into possibility, fear into love, separation into union. You can invite this grace through prayer, through meditation, through maintaining faith in the face of apparent evidence to the contrary, not as a magical solution that bypasses necessary growth, but as the essential catalyst that makes transformation possible when all human efforts have been exhausted. During this time of separation, pay attention to the subtle ways your connection manifests despite physical distance. Notice dreams where your soulmate appears, synchronicities that remind you of them, moments of inexplicable knowing about their state or circumstances. These experiences aren't merely coincidence or wishful thinking. They're evidence of the energetic bond that transcends physical separation. This bond remains intact regardless of external circumstances, connecting your souls across time, space, and even through the barriers of fear. Acknowledging these connections without clinging to them strengthens your faith in what isn't visibly present. Your soulmate's fear of hurting you may be particularly activated during certain phases of their life or yours. Major transitions, career changes, relocations, health challenges, family disruptions often trigger deeper fears around inadequacy, burden, or failure. Their distance during these periods doesn't necessarily indicate diminished connection, but rather heightened sensitivity to their potential impact on your well-being. Understanding these cycles can help you respond with patience rather than panic, with steady presence rather than desperate pursuit. Type, I understand cycles to acknowledge the natural ebbs and flows of this connection. The spiritual technology of surrender offers a powerful approach to this situation. True surrender isn't passive resignation, but active release of control, of expectation, of attachment to particular outcomes. It's saying, I trust the unfolding of this connection, whatever form it takes. I release my timeline, my conditions, my need for certainty. This surrender creates space for divine orchestration beyond your human planning or understanding. It doesn't mean giving up on the connection, but rather giving it over to a wisdom greater than your personal desires or fears. Consider that your soulmate's fear of hurting you may be serving as protection until certain lessons are learned, certain patterns are cleared, certain preparations are complete. What appears as frustrating delay may actually be divine protection, preventing premature union that might ultimately cause greater pain than temporary separation. Trust that the timing of your connection, whether imminent or distant, is perfectly aligned with both souls' highest evolution. This trust doesn't eliminate longing, but places it in a larger context of purposeful unfolding rather than random deprivation. The message your soul wants your soulmate to receive isn't "I need you," but "I see you," your light and your shadow, your gifts and your wounds, your courage and your fear. I see you completely and love what I see. This message can't be conveyed through desperate pursuit or emotional pressure. It can only be transmitted through the steady frequency of unconditional acceptance. An acceptance that includes honoring their process even when that process temporarily leads away from you. Type "I see you" to send this message energetically in this moment. Your own fear patterns may be contributing to this dynamic of separation. When we fear abandonment, rejection, or betrayal, we often create energetic walls designed to protect us from these very experiences. These walls, though invisible, are palpable to sensitive souls, particularly to soulmates who resonate with our energy. Your soulmate may be responding not just to their own fear of hurting you, but to the fear they sense within you. Fear that makes genuine vulnerability seem dangerous rather than inviting. Healing these patterns within yourself creates energetic space for connection. The spiritual purpose of this separation often involves developing faith, not blind optimism, but grounded trust in what cannot yet be seen, in possibilities that haven't yet manifested. This faith isn't about denying reality or avoiding painful truths. It's about perceiving a deeper reality beneath appearances, recognizing the invisible connections that persist despite physical separation, trusting the wisdom of divine timing even when that timing differs from your personal preferences.
The more you cultivate this faith, the more peace you experience regardless of external circumstances. Consider that your soulmate's fear of hurting you might actually be fear of their own vulnerability, fear of being truly seen, truly known, truly
loved. Many souls find it easier to give love than to receive it, to care for others than to allow themselves to be cared for. The intensity of soulmate connection makes hiding impossible, bringing all aspects of self, light and shadow, into the revealing light of recognition. Their distance may reflect not lack of love, but terror of being fully revealed, fully known, with nowhere to hide and no way to maintain the protective illusion of separateness. Type "I welcome all" to create energetic space for their complete self-revelation. The most powerful gift you can offer during this time is holding space, maintaining an energetic container of acceptance, patience, and unconditional love without demand or expectation. This space holding isn't passive waiting, but active creation of conditions conducive to healing, to courage, to eventual connection. It's maintaining faith in their essential goodness despite behaviors that might suggest otherwise. It's remembering the truth of who they are beneath layers of fear and protection. It's believing in possibilities not yet manifest, but nonetheless real in potential. Your soulmate's fear of hurting you connects to fundamental questions about the nature of love itself. Is love inherently harmful or inherently healing? Does genuine connection inevitably lead to pain or to growth through temporary discomfort? Is human love always limited by our wounds, or can it transcend them through conscious awareness? These aren't merely philosophical questions, but lived experiences your soulmate is navigating through their own relationships, their own patterns, their own spiritual journey. Their current conclusion, that love leads to harm, reflects not ultimate truth, but their present level of healing and awareness. During this time of separation, cultivate patience, not as passive waiting, but as active faith in divine timing. Patience comes from the Latin word Pati, meaning to suffer, to endure, suggesting that patience involves maintaining equilibrium despite discomfort. Can you hold both your longing for connection and your acceptance of current reality without allowing either to overwhelm your peace? Can you trust the unfolding process without imposing arbitrary deadlines or ultimatums? This balanced patience creates an energetic invitation rather than demand. Type, "I am patient," to affirm this quality within yourself. Remember that your soulmate's fear of hurting you doesn't diminish the reality of your connection. Fear may temporarily override recognition, may cloud awareness, may motivate distance, but it cannot sever the energetic bond between souls meant to journey together. This bond exists beyond physical proximity, beyond conscious awareness, beyond current limitations. It remains intact through separation, through misunderstanding, through periods of apparent disconnection. Trusting this invisible but palpable connection provides comfort during times when external evidence seems lacking. The healing journey your soulmate must undertake to move beyond fear cannot be rushed or forced. Each soul progresses according to its own divine timing, its own readiness to face what has previously seemed too overwhelming to confront. This timing rarely aligns with human preferences or plans. The question becomes not, when will they overcome this fear? But how can I honor both their process and my own, while this fear remains present? This honoring might mean continuing your life without waiting, developing other meaningful connections, pursuing your purpose, all while maintaining space in your heart for the connection you recognize as significant. Consider that this period of separation might be serving your own spiritual evolution in ways not immediately apparent. Perhaps you're developing patience, resilience, faith in what cannot be seen. Perhaps you're learning to distinguish between attachment and love, between neediness and genuine connection. Perhaps you're being called to heal abandonment wounds, to develop self-sufficiency, to discover fulfillment independent of external relationships. These lessons aren't distractions from your soulmate connection, but essential preparation for it. Type, "I embrace growth" to welcome these lessons regardless of their immediate comfort level. Your soulmate's fear of hurting you may be particularly focused on specific aspects of relationship they've found challenging in the past. Emotional, intimacy, physical vulnerability, financial interdependence, conflict resolution. Their distance might reflect not global rejection of connection, but targeted avoidance of these specific challenges. Understanding these particular fears can help you respond with precision rather than general reassurance, addressing the actual concerns rather than the ones you imagine. This specific understanding comes through patient observation, through genuine listening when communication occurs, through intuitive awareness of their particular wounds. The energy you broadcast during this time of separation significantly impacts the dynamic between you. When you focus on lack, on absence, on the pain of separation, this energy reaches your soulmate and often intensifies their fear, confirming their belief that connection with you leads to suffering. When you focus instead on gratitude for the connection, on trust in divine timing, on your own growth and purpose, this energy creates an invitation rather than pressure or demand. Choose consciously which frequency you wish to transmit, knowing it reaches them regardless of physical distance. During this time of waiting, cultivate joy, not as denial of longing, but as affirmation of life's inherent value regardless of relationship status. Joy attracts, while desperation repels. The more you discover and create joy in your present circumstances, the more magnetic your energy becomes to all forms of blessing, including the return of a fearful soulmate. This joy isn't dependent on external circumstances but arises from internal alignment with your authentic self, your purpose, your connection with divine love that transcends human relationship. Type "I choose joy" to align with this frequency, regardless of current circumstances. Your soulmate's fear of hurting you speaks to their sensitivity, their conscience, their awareness of impact. In a world where many cause harm without remorse or recognition, their concern about potential pain indicates emotional intelligence and moral awareness. These qualities, once integrated with courage rather than dominated by fear, form the foundation for profound partnership. Their current distance, though painful, may be precisely what allows these qualities to mature from fear-based avoidance to conscious, courageous presence. Consider whether your own patterns might unconsciously reinforce your soulmate's fear. Do you subtly punish emotional honesty with withdrawal or criticism? Do you inadvertently reward their distance with increased pursuit, creating a dynamic that makes avoidance more comfortable than presence? Do you consistently demonstrate emotional resilience, or do you collapse when pain arises, confirming their fear that their authenticity would harm you? These patterns aren't about blame, but about awareness. Recognizing how both souls contribute to the current dynamic, and therefore how both can participate in its transformation. The spiritual practice of allowing offers a powerful approach to this situation. Allowing means creating space for what is without resistance, without judgment, without premature resolution. Can you allow your soulmate's fear to exist without taking it personally? Can you allow your own longing without attempting to immediately satisfy it? Can you allow divine timing to unfold without imposing your human timeline? This allowing doesn't mean passive acceptance of harmful behavior, but rather conscious recognition of current reality as the necessary starting point for any genuine transformation. Type "I allow" to practice this spacious acceptance in this moment. Your soulmate's journey toward healing their fear follows its own divine timeline. Some souls require specific catalysts, particular relationships, challenges, or growth experiences, before they're ready to face their deepest fears. Others need to reach certain levels of self-acceptance, certain stages of healing, certain degrees of spiritual awareness. You cannot rush this process, but you can hold space for it with patience and understanding, knowing that each soul's evolution unfolds perfectly according to its own divine plan. During this time of separation, pay attention to the guidance available through dreams, meditation, synchronicities, and intuitive knowing. The divine communicates constantly through these channels, offering direction, reassurance, and insight beyond rational understanding. This guidance rarely provides specific timelines or guarantees about your soulmate's return, but rather offers wisdom about your own next steps, your own healing journey, your own spiritual evolution. Following this guidance creates alignment with divine timing rather than resistance to it. Type "I listen within" to affirm your openness to this inner guidance. Remember that your worth is not determined by another person's capacity to recognize it. Your value as a soul remains constant regardless of external validation or connection. Your soulmate's fear of hurting you reflects their limitations, not yours. Their temporary inability to fully engage with the connection between you speaks to their current level of healing, not to your inherent lovability. Maintaining this truth, that you are worthy of love regardless of whether this particular relationship manifests as you hope, creates both inner peace and magnetic attraction rather than desperate need. The spiritual technology of energy. Clearing can be powerful during this time of separation. Consciously release attachment, expectation, resentment, and fear through prayer, meditation, ritual, or intention. This clearing doesn't mean giving up on the connection, but rather purifying your relationship to it, releasing the static that interferes with clear transmission between souls. The more you clear these lower frequency energies, the more space you create for divine orchestration beyond your human planning or understanding. Consider that your soulmate's fear of hurting you might actually protect the connection until both of you have developed the capacity to sustain its intensity. Soulmate relationships typically catalyze profound transformation, bringing all unhealed aspects to the surface for recognition and integration. Without sufficient spiritual foundation, this intensity can become overwhelming, leading to harmful patterns rather than healing connection. Their distance, though painful, may be preserving the potential for future union by preventing premature engagement before necessary preparation is complete. Type "I trust timing" to affirm your faith in this divine orchestration. The most powerful form of communication during this time of separation occurs energetically rather than verbally. Your thoughts, your feelings, your intentions reach your soulmate regardless of physical distance or conscious awareness. Choose these inner communications consciously, knowing they impact the field between you more powerfully than external messages. When you mentally transmit blame, demand, or desperation, this energy pushes them further into fear. When you transmit acceptance, patience, and faith in divine timing, this energy creates space for their fear to gradually dissolve without pressure. Your soulmate's fear of hurting you often connects to specific attachment patterns formed in early childhood. Perhaps they experienced inconsistent care that taught them love is unreliable. Perhaps they witnessed harmful relationship dynamics that became their template for partnership. Perhaps they were punished for authentic expression, learning that their true self is somehow dangerous or unacceptable. These patterns, though formed decades ago, continue to influence adult relationships until consciously recognized and transformed through dedicated inner work. During this time of waiting, focus on becoming the person you want to be, rather than on obtaining the relationship you want to have. Relationship flows naturally from being rather than from seeking or acquiring. The more fully you embody your authentic self, your gifts, your purpose, your unique expression of divine love, the more naturally you attract connections aligned with this authenticity. This focus on being rather than getting creates both fulfillment in the present and magnetic attraction rather than desperate pursuit. Type "I am becoming" to affirm your commitment to this inner development. Remember that divine timing operates according to soul readiness rather than human desire. Both you and your soulmate must reach certain levels of healing, awareness, and growth before union becomes sustainable. What feels like delay is often protection, preventing connection before the foundations are strong enough to support it. Trust that the timing of your union, whether imminent or distant, will be perfectly aligned with both souls' highest good, even when this alignment isn't immediately apparent from human perspective. Thank you for watching.